Okay, hey y'all, I'm back. This is day two of our New Year's series, but it's me, the Key. Welcome back to the channel where this is a place where perfection is an idea, it's not a goal. So if that's what you're looking for, then you're in the wrong place. But we're here to discuss like the quiet parts out loud, right? It's late, I'm a little bit tired, but I was like, you know what? This is a discussion that we need to have, right? We're going to be talking about healing, right? And the biggest question is, does time actually heal? And I'm a huge advocate for absolutely not. It doesn't. I feel like we kind of trick ourselves into saying that time heals things to avoid doing the work for the actual healing that needs to be done in order for us to achieve what we're looking for in our lives, right? And so I kind of just feel like it's a trick. Like when people are like, "Oh, time heals, time heals, time heals." No. Nope, it doesn't. It doesn't. So, anyway, sorry. At the end of the day, the only thing that can heal you is you and the work that you put into the healing, right? So, we want to look at just different aspects like what does it actually take to heal? And honestly, the first part is actually realizing the fact that you probably need to heal, right? Like there are moments in my life where I look at something and I'm like, "Oh, like it's fine, whatever," right? Like time will pass, everything is good. And then when you really think back on it, that same thing will catch up with you like 5 years later. And people are like, "Oh, but time." No, I feel like it's the one of the biggest misconception and lies that we've been told and feed into is the fact that time actually heals things. When like honestly, it doesn't. It doesn't. It's an illusion. So honestly, just like put the work in, do what it is that you need to do in order to heal. And honestly, I think for me, it's really been big to like read books. Like Viola Davis is Finding Me. I'll put that like in the description. Life changing to read that and kind of see like what other people's lives have looked like and what are the things that they've experienced and like how did she discover and what was her turning point. And there have been a lot of things that I've been able to kind of like reflect on that I've seen her talk about. And I was like, oh, I identify with that. And a lot of times, my God, like so many of us think that we're alone because we have not met somebody who's gone through the same experience. But we're literally never alone in the experience that we're in, which is why like human connection is so important. And so whenever somebody's telling you like, "Oh, like it'll take time." The only thing that takes time to heal is like your body, right? But like your mental health and the things that you're experiencing on a daily basis and just recovering from regular life, it takes time. It's going to take a lot more time than just like, willy-nilly. But I think that comes with like reflection and it comes with taking that time to spend with other people. So, um, part of healing is building a community. I think that having a community is so important in that healing journey and making sure that there are people with you that can support you throughout that journey. I feel like, once you find someone who's been through that same experience, and you network with them or you build a relationship with them and they're able to kind of guide you, it really makes going through that life experience a whole lot easier. It makes it a lot less painful ish, right? Because you're able to share that burden with somebody else, even if they didn't necessarily ask for it, right? But it's really a good experience to be able to have. So that's something that, like, I would say, I think personally for me, like, just going through like childhood memories and knowing that like my parents always did the best that they can, right? But one big thing for me was my mom always being like super anxious about the fact that I was so nonchalant. I used to just not even trip about anything. I was just living. Do you hear me? I wasn't doing much. I didn't go out anywhere. I read books. I ate food. I traveled, but I never was like so uptight. When something happened, I was just like, man, That sucks. Looks like we'll just next time. And I wasn't riled up and I wasn't excited about it. And I didn't get angry and I didn't, but my mom was so upset about the fact that I didn't really get angry. I didn't really get upset at things. And so it almost subconsciously like had me thinking that now, in order for me to actually process the fact that something happened that may have not been positive, that now I have some like random anxiety about things that I probably shouldn't have any anxiety about, right? And so being able to be an adult and like heal that inner child is wild, especially after you have your own kids. Like you think that you're fine until like this child triggers you, and now you're having to like recover from a childhood that you thought was like so fine, everything was golden, you were good, most of the things that you thought went wrong were like, you know, they were solved, everything is good. But that wasn't the case, right? Like my son tries me all day because he is like the curious of all the Georges. He's so into all the things. He's like, so mom, what is this? And how can we do this? And actually, mom, this is what you said the rules are. So I'm expecting that you follow the rules in the same way that like I created the rules, right? And so now it's coming from an upbringing of where your parents are like, well, these are the rules and this is what I say. And so now you're having to like parent the you out of your kid that your parents put in you from environment and not from naturally who you are. So then you literally just start to think and you're like, okay, how do I actually navigate life in a space in which you're battling who you genetically are and what your environment has created you to be? And so I literally have just spent the time like, okay, this is where I am. Am I this way and this intense and this stressed because of the job that I'm working? Is my reaction this bad because of the job, or is it because of who I am? So it's literally the same thing when it comes to like truly healing yourself and taking the time to heal yourself. Like when you actually take time to get to know you and you're not in the comfort or in the loudness of all these other people, friends, family, like I literally don't care who it is. Like we're starting off a new year. And I personally believe that like the new year starts when I'm born, right? Like, so my new year is coming up in the next 2 months. Okay. Like this is just the general new year for like the atmosphere, for the earth, the way it spins, the things that it does. But for me, it starts in the next 2 months. So I'm ending my year and wanting to end this chapter of my life on a really good note, which means it's time to start seeing like what type of wounds are we about to cure, because that next chapter cannot look like the last one, right? It doesn't mean that the last one was bad, like things literally happen. And so you have to be willing to really go in and heal yourself, right? So strengthening that support system when you find that like you can't debrief things from your childhood with the same people that created that wound, because sometimes they just feel like your parents thought they did what was ever best, right? Like my mom will be like, well, I did the best that I could, and I'll say, and I really appreciate that because it created me to be the person I am today, and I would not want to be anybody else, right? Like if I could pick anybody in the world I'd want to be, I want to be me, right? And it's the confidence that you have to have in order to get through that healing process. Because honestly, like without my experience having kids, like I would probably think that I'm perfectly fine. I think that there's certain life experiences that teach you so much. And if you're not open to learning about why you're in the season of life that you're in, some of us literally stay in the same season and not heal and not learn because we literally refuse to try and understand why we are where we are and how we even got there. Like we literally are like, oh, this sucks. I don't like being here. Or, oh my God, I'm going to ride this wave, only to discover what? Only to discover the general fact that you've been in this season for the past 90 days because you didn't understand on day 10 why you're still there and you're not taking the time to do the work. And honestly, I feel like if most of us tried to do the healing process right after the event or really close after the event, we'd probably be more satisfied with like our overall lives, because now we operate in a place of like harm, but you don't actually realize that you're hurt, but now hurt people, right? And now we're making decisions based on where we're at in our lives when really you're not actually there, right? Like you are really a person that has a CEO personality that's stuck in a manager position. But it's because there's that little piece in you, that confidence. Confidence is a part of the healing process. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care what they said to you growing up. I don't care what they're telling you right now. Confidence is a part of the healing process because half of us aren't reaching our full potential because we're not confident in who we are. Literally. Literally. Like I feel like most of the problems that people have deals with their level of confidence to get through the problem into the solution, whether it's a relationship that you are either stuck in or you're afraid to leave, whether it's a childhood that you didn't get through completely. Maybe you're not unscathed and you're like, man, I really wish I could have. Like maybe you're someone who has great business skill, great business sense, but nobody's supporting you. You don't need everybody's support. Okay. You have to be confident in yourself because, like I was saying yesterday, nobody can want it more than you. Nobody can want the healing journey more than you. There are people in your life that really want you to be the best version of yourself. But I promise the best way to get there is taking the time and sitting with yourself. Like one of my friends once said to me, he was like, I always am weary of people who cannot sit with themselves. Because if you can't sit with you, why would I want to sit with you? And I was just like, yo, what? You're right about it. There are people who cannot sit in silence because the minute they hear themselves talking, it's chaos because they haven't addressed themselves. Now, again, going back to Viola Davis's book, Finding Me, 100% recommend, okay? Because when you start to see those and collect the little milestones along the way that help that healing process and you bridge the gap, it is life changing. It's life changing. Now, I'm not saying that you're going to wake up and just all of a sudden, like everything's going to be cured, right? Like everything's not necessarily cured. Time itself doesn't heal without you putting the work into it, right? So, like, I take time and I do my journals, right? Now, I'm not saying I have, 30 minutes to sit here and just like write everything that's on the top of my brain. Absolutely not. Okay. I might sit down and set a 7-minute timer and I'm going to write the things that are on the top of my head and figure out, okay, is there anything in here that we actually need to unpack? Because if we do, we can do it, but maybe not right now, right? Maybe we'll set aside another time to accomplish that goal. I'm a candle girl. I will go in my bathroom. I'm running the bath. I'm putting in the Epsom salt. We're lighting up the candles. Maybe we're playing some praise and worship. And then we're kind of thinking through what we wrote and how did we get to that place, right? Because a lot of it is really just addressing it when you see it. It's kind of like your house, okay? If you're in here working, doing this, doing that, you're cooking, but you're never putting anything back up, now you got a mess everywhere, right? And that's how we have people that end up like literally in therapy for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years because there's so much that's been like put out on the table. And that's why people keep telling you, oh, it takes time, oh, it takes time, oh, it takes time. And then you're sitting up, you're 40, 50 years old, and you're still recovering from 10-year-old you, right? Because the time wasn't the only thing that you needed in order to recover and be like the absolute best version of yourself, right? So I think that recovering from trauma, right, is very similar to just like regular, I guess maybe trauma is bullying and bullying is trauma, I feel like, right? Like, or life events like car accidents. Like, I personally cannot with the whole driving situation. I'll drive all day, every day. I've done road trips from North Carolina to Louisiana, Texas to Florida, North Carolina, New York, all day. But my God, operating in a place of trauma, it's exhausting. Like, half of us are tired all the time. And it's not even just the fact that you work hard, it's literally just the fact that you are operating in a space of stress. You're operating in a space of trauma because we didn't prioritize healing. Now we're exhausted and can't reach the full potential of who we actually need to be. We can't create the opportunities that we want in our lives because we are so traumatized or we're stressed and we're operating in that space consistently. And now we're exhausted because it's 11 o'clock and we just started work. When you really slept for temporary rest because that's what your body should be doing, right? But we didn't actually fully recover from where we were before. So now here we are doing the same cycle, running it back, running it back, running it back, and trying to figure out how to get out of that never ending loop that we got ourselves into in the first place. And so all I have to say is take that time, man. Because sometimes if you took the 1 month that it was necessary to recover from something, that could literally save you 2 to 3 years of your life. It's like, it's an investment. And I feel like we as people just don't want to invest in ourselves in the more complicated, complex, or more emotional ways. Because I don't know, like, everybody's all talking about self care and mental health, but at the same time, we're all still struggling. So what's actually going on? How are we out here tooting the mental health train? Companies are over here talking about all this extra time that they're adding, all these resources, all these therapists, not shaming people for medication, for depression, for anxiety, but we are all still having the same level of problems that we were prior to it being an open discussion. Because now we're having the discussion, but like, where are the action steps? Where is the real life community? Everybody's talking about it, but nobody's working together in order to lift each other up. And I just don't get that. Like, I personally have built myself a community of people, of friends that are not interconnected, right? Everybody has, or a lot of people have friend groups. I don't do friend groups, okay? I do individual people that I know can support me in this specific way, okay? Like, if I call up my homegirl, like Chelsea, and I'm like, I need prayer right now. Oh, I know that is her and God are like this. So if I need to speed dial the Lord, okay, and the two of us come together, oh, he's answering. Like that. Why? Because that's my connection. That's my relationship with her. And I understand that. And she gets that. And if she calls me and she needs prayer, we're doing it. Now, not to say that I'm not as close, you know what I'm saying? But different people play different roles in your life. And a lot of us don't understand that it is 100% okay to leverage people and leverage them in relationships. Okay? You have to leverage people in relationships, because otherwise, what are other people here for if they're not going to help you? I think people are like, oh, you're using such and such. What is the relationship for? What is the relationship for if they're not helping you? Okay. So that's what I have to say tonight. Okay. Your girl is, we is tired a little bit, but I just had to jump on and let y'all know that the healing is the team. It's the team effort. So as long as you're willing to heal yourself and take that time and invest in you and use all the resources that you possibly can, and really put that time into yourself the way that you should, and love on you the way that you should, and bring in 2025, you're going to thrive, keep it alive, you're going to heal, okay? And put that work in at the beginning of the year. So by the time it's really time to be outside and you can cut up and think through what you're doing instead of just doing it based on trauma, oh, we're good. Oh, we are good because we're no longer operating in a space of dysfunction. We're operating in a space of thriving. We know exactly what work that we've put in. We know exactly how to operate in the space that we need to operate in to be successful. And that's all that I ever want. Okay. So, yes, I might be a little bit, non conventional. Yes, I might toot the horn and basically say, listen, we're screaming mental health, but we're really not doing anything about it. So now it's time to hold yourself accountable and be confident in who you are. And that's that. So, I will link some information and resources and the book that I was talking about as well. Otherwise, like I always say, I appreciate you guys for coming to the channel, for watching, liking, commenting, subscribing, giving me your thoughts so that we can think together and build a strong community. Otherwise, I will talk to y'all later. Ta ta.